All right, and good evening, everybody, and welcome to the big Train World virtual train show. And it means a lot that all of you are joining us tonight. And just let me know if we're sounding and coming in clear, and when everybody's looking good. So thank you, everybody out there, for joining us. We do appreciate it. And we're going to kick it off by just going around introducing everyone. And I myself, Ken Bianco Jr. from Train World. And thank you all for joining us tonight.
James Wright, JLWI 2000 on YouTube. So co-hosting tonight, and glad to be doing it with Ken, and welcome all you guys to the show.
Hey guys, it's John Sacerdote, show director at Amherst Railway. Glad to be here. Thank you guys.
Hi, I'm Carl Swanson. I'm editor of Model Railroader. It's terrific to be here tonight.
I'm John D. Forsyth from TCS. Thanks for having me.
Matt Herman from ESU. Great seeing you guys out there.
Hello, I'm George, product specialist at SoundTraxx and Blackstone Models, and happy to be here for you guys.
I'm Tony Cook from Model Railroad News. I edit Model Railroad News and HO Collector Quarterly for White River Productions.
All right, very good. So tonight we have an action-packed episode, and the first thing we got to do is, I guess, pay tribute, and just really what we're missing right now are these train shows out there. And it's a tough time because COVID definitely hit everyone hard. And we want to thank all our first responders out there and everybody on the front lines. So we do appreciate that. Yes, big clap, George. But you know, it's tough because we can't go to these train shows, and everybody loves trains, and especially the Amherst train show. And it's great for everyone: the manufacturers, the dealers, the consumer, the model train enthusiast, and also the new person getting into the hobby, because there's so many layouts and trains there. So my experience there is just action packed. Tons of people, just all hallways are filled with people, families, train enthusiasts. It's a great mix of everyone. And a lot of times people say, oh, trains is just an old hobby. But when you go to the Amherst train show, and this is a token to John and his team putting something together, it's a mix of all different ages, genders. It's just great. So they put on a tremendous show. So we just wanted to kind of do something just for the time being, while you guys are home and you can't really get to any train shows, to kind of have the manufacturers come to your home virtually and kind of show off the new products that we're accustomed to seeing. And I want to kick it off to James, because James is a great model train hobbyist, and he has his own take on what Amherst means to me. And maybe James, can you chime in for us?
Well, the first thing I think of when I think of Amherst is overload. I got to see the show back in 2017, and I came in with a plan to basically film most of the vendors there, and I was like, I had to scrap the plan. It was essentially, okay, we'll show a few highlights, because I really wanted to enjoy it for myself, but there was no humanly possible way of documenting all the different vendors and different things to see at the show. I mean, they've even got like a steam train outside, I think, or a train outside, all those different buildings, and just well executed show. They have it down so that modelers can get in there pretty easily and have access. And then the just things you wouldn't think about, like aisle width, for example, very boring subject you would think, but things like that are very important. And I never felt like I was super crowded, that I could really enjoy the hobby, see the different vendors, and not have people surrounding me like I'm at a concert or something. It was amazing.
That's great. And John, let me bring you in here, and we'll let's see, John. Nope, you got James. All right, John.
There we are.
So, John, can you just introduce yourself, because a lot of people, you're kind of behind the scenes and kind of running all the show during that day, and a lot of people may not know you, and you got tons of people watching you right now, lots of eyeballs. So, why is Amherst so great? And maybe after you speak about this, we have a lot of great guests tonight, and I'm sure when they go on, they could attest to the great train show that you actually put on. What makes Amherst so special, John?
I think the mix, James alluded to it. There's a mix of everything, something for everyone. And we really try very hard to keep it that way. I don't like putting like wood kit builders in one area or layouts in another area. We try to spread it all out so that people could see everything. It's only fair, as far as traffic patterns and everything, that you get to see everything. So we do a little bit of that, and we're really trying to, while we still keep it a table show, which means it's got that flea market appeal to get stuff. There's still manufacturers with their booths if they'd like. And there's a lot of things for children too, because we're really trying to promote the hobby all the way up to our admission price. If you're 16 and younger, it's free. You don't have to pay if you're a kid, and it's all to get some kids to come to this show and see what's going on. But it's I'll tell you what's more work, putting on a virtual train show than the real train show. We've got it down pretty well. I've got a great bunch of volunteers, and it goes like clockwork. And the folks at the Eastern States Exhibition Fairgrounds know us extremely well. They're very good to us, and they let us in there a whole week ahead of time. As soon as there's sometimes an exhibition of some kind going on the weekend before, but Monday morning I'm there. And I'm there for good on Wednesday, and I just stay there, just because I live about 25 miles away, but it's at the end of an 8-hour day, it's too much of a pain to drive home and then come right back up there for our morning meetings at 6 a.m. So we do a lot with a lot of people, and everybody has the right jobs to do, and setup takes 3 days. Breaking the show down takes 3 hours. It's amazing to see 3 days to set it all up for there's about 4,000 people in the show, right. That are exhibitors and running the modules and trains, and then the manufacturers and stuff. But it's great to see the setup. I always take a picture before when it's a vast, empty concrete wasteland is what it looks like. It's 350,000 square feet, which is about 10 acres in 4 different buildings. And then when you see it all, when it's all set up, you just don't even recognize the place. But it really is my favorite time of the year. I just love doing this. And we're a little bit disappointed when we couldn't have it. I was very disappointed. And try to explain this all to the health department, that we're really trying to let us have the show. They just didn't have any idea that other than the Eastern States Fair itself, we are the largest show at that location. And they had no idea that there were that many people. They're trying to restrict us to 100 people per building. I said, we realize we have 1,000 people that run the exhibits in each building. Wow. And they said, oh, no, I did not know that. So we had to, and rightfully so, especially right now when it's at its peak, I think, we had to cancel. So I have no problem with canceling, other than the fact that all the monies that we make from this show, a lot of people, and I guess we don't do a good enough job of marketing that, but all the money we make after expenses, we give it away. And we've given away since 1991 to other nonprofits that have something to do with railroads. We've given away over $850,000. I was really hoping in the next couple of years to come up on $1 million, make that a big event and do something for admission and all that kind of stuff. But this losing a year cost us a year. So we'll probably hit $1 million in 4, or I think maybe 3, 4, maybe 5 years at most. But it's a great feeling when you hand out these checks to other people that have been restoring scholarship funds, a rail camp for kids, all kinds of stuff going on. So it's fun. But we're doing our best to make up for it this year with our virtual show. I was joking earlier before we were on the air that this seems to be train week. So our virtual show is this weekend, and it's all about promoting the hobby to me. I wasn't going to do anything. And I thought to myself, oh my God, I have a year off because this is pretty much a full-time job. I take February and half of March off, and then we start all over again with the 35 hotels that we get, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and the police and the fire department and the permits and this, that, and the other thing. So it's pretty much year round. I thought I was going to take a year off, but it didn't happen. But I blame my exhibitors. And I'm happy to do it in all seriousness. But a couple of my exhibitors had come to me and say, John, we count on this show to make some income. And I said, well, so do I. But they said, but this is where we make our income. What can we do? So I got the final push from a bunch of exhibitors that said, you got to do something to expose us to more. So that's why we're doing the virtual show, just so we could get more exposure for all my folks, my family. I call it my family. Only because I'm very personal about the whole thing. And so I'm looking forward to it. And I'm really glad that you gave me the opportunity to talk about it today.
Well, that's great, John. We really appreciate it. And now, obviously, without the show, funds may be tight and you can't allocate that money. So you mentioned actually you had a GoFundMe page. And
yes.
I actually... let's see.
Yeah, you hit the GoFundMe page, which is appreciated.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you could see that.
Google, it's not a button on our site yet, but it's easy to get to. If you just Google Amherst Railway Charity, it'll take you right to it. Oh, there you are. You're right there on it. Great. Yeah. And what people need to remember is this just goes full circle. People donate, it goes right back out to other nonprofits that have something to do with railroads.
Yeah, and that's great. We actually we did make a donation because I think it's a great cause, and quite honestly, I believe in you. You spoke to me a couple of times, and you're just really about the hobby, and you don't care about personal stuff. It's just how to make the train industry better, how to make the show better. So I think you really do a great job, and you take the politics out of it. And
there's none for me. I don't think of it as competition with any other show. I've been to a lot of the shows. I know a lot of the guys that run the other shows. I try to make it a collaborative effort, and we try to share ideas and all that kind of stuff. Because for me, it's all about let's promote the hobby. We'll all be winners. Everybody, people that come to the show, our manufacturers, our folks that are trying to sell collections, everybody. So it's not a competition to me. It's let's promote this wonderful hobby.
That's great. That's great. Good stuff. And John, I truly hope that we could get back in action next year. How do you know, is it looking, I would think it's probably looking hopeful for next year.
It is. It's looking very good for next year. Our signal is going to be the Eastern States Exhibition Fair, which happens the last last couple of weeks of September and the first week, usually in October. If they have their fair with 1.7 million people on average, we'll definitely have ours. But if you look at all of I try to pay attention to a lot of stuff that relates to how it might affect us. And they're saying that at least 60-70% of the United States will be vaccinated by June, July. That's going to be enough that I think everything will open up by next January. So I think we're going to be in real good shape.
That would be great. And obviously, you know, we get a lot of comments when we started advertising and promoting the show, and some people get upset. They're like, we don't want virtual. We want an actual train show. And we get it. Trust me, all of us on this panel want the actual physical train show. There's nothing better than meeting people one-on-one and being there. But, you know, for the time being, these virtual events are just something to get you by until then.
Yeah,
so,
I agree. The show is a traditional event in that a lot of the vendors see each other. A bunch of them rent space. For example, at one of the dining cars out in Palmer, just to get together with meetings. And so a lot of people, this is the only time they actually see each other. So
right.
It's interesting, all the extras that come with the camaraderie of getting together face to face.
And that's really true, because even some of the manufacturers on this panel, that the times I meet George there or Matt, and you know, just meeting up, talking business, and just also the personal friendships of building that relationship. You know, I don't think my relationships with the manufacturers would be as great as they are if I didn't see them at your shows. So yeah. I think it really helps on all aspects, not just even consumer side, on the dealer side as well.
I agree. Yeah. When I came on the meeting today, I said, oh, I know all these guys. So it was fun.
That's great. That's great. Does anybody want to chime in? I know we'll probably go around the horn and talk about, you're more than welcome to talk about Amherst Train Show. I'm not sure if anybody wants to chime in just real quick before we turn it over.
Well,
I was going to say this. Oh, go ahead, George.
I was just saying, I truly miss the shows. I mean, one of my favorite parts of what I do is to be able to go out and meet and greet with people. Many of you guys know I've been a model railroader since I was a kid, and being able to go out and talk to people and help introduce them to the hobby that's brought me so much joy over the years, you can't replace that. And so, you know, as much as we like to, as much as we're wanting to be here for the virtual event, there's nothing like the live event. And John, your Amherst show every year is, you know, the pinnacle. It's the one we always look forward to. And, you know, we are saddened, of course, not being able to see everybody, but, you know, we want everybody to stay safe and healthy, and so we can get through this and we can always meet together again soon.
Definitely. Yeah, I have to concur. I mean, we travel, it's about a 5-hour drive to get up there, and it really is. It's something that it's a tradition, I guess. I've been going to the show now probably 18 years, maybe more, you know, personally, and then with ESU and with Bowser before that. It's always been a tradition. We get up in the morning, we know where we're going, we have our favorite stops along the way. You know, and then when we get there, it's running around for 45 minutes, just saying hi to all of our friends that are just in the industry. And then to be able to see some of our customers that come in. Being a model railroader is a lot about model trains, but it's a whole lot about people too. Whether you're in clubs or you're going to the shows and you're just having fun with people and joking around and just that camaraderie, as has been said already, that it's about people. This is a community, and it's missed dearly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll echo about the traditions part. TCS, we always love going up there, and I'm going to have a gap in my show train. Every Amherst show we go to, I buy the show car that they have. They've got a great show store there at the Amherst Railway Society, and I didn't think of setting it up here, but I've got, you know, a string of like 10, 15 cars from every year from the Amherst show and one from the National Train Show, and we're really excited to go attend the virtual show this weekend. And all you guys out there watching, I think you're really going to enjoy it. John and the crew there at Virtual Railfan have really been pulling out all the stops to really make this a great show. So make sure you check it out. It's going to be great.
Sorry, thanks, everybody. I tried to put JD in the main screen and I couldn't even find them. Sorry about that. All right. So I guess for the time being, we're going to kick it off with the virtual train show. Thanks John, so much for what you do, and it's definitely said that we had or you guys had to cancel this time around, but everybody here is looking forward to next time around. These virtual shows can never replace any physical train show. It's just impossible, and hopefully this could get us by for the time being, but we're looking forward to next year. And even though we don't have a physical train show, we also do have some great magazine companies on tonight's episode to keep you informed about the hobby throughout, the whole year. So I'll kick it off to, let's say, Tony, do you want to kick it off from Model Railroad News?
Sure, be glad to.
Let me just get you on the screen. Give me 1 second. There we go.
Get your bald guys mixed up, Ken.
Yeah, we all look alike, I'm afraid. Yeah. My name is Tony Cook. I edit Model Railroad News and have been doing that for about 10 years now. And I'm in my 5th year of co-editing HO Collector Quarterly, which is another White River publication. And it is devoted to the history of HO scale trains. And I do that with my co-editor, Tony Lucio, out of Kentucky. We're both big collectors, and then also enjoy just operating and everything with model trains. So between the two, every month, I'm working through news and reviews with my team on Model Railroad News, and then quarterly putting together a look back at history in HO Collector. And as you can see behind me, this is my office, and there's stuff that I've gotten. That Coors Lionel reefer I just got from you, Ken. I got that like a week or two ago. I'd forgotten I ordered it, and it shows up. But that's one of the neat things about pre-ordering the stuff through Train World, is occasionally that stuff, they'll send you the email and I forget I've got it coming. But that's a really awesome new Lionel beer car that came out in a set. And then, Ken, I know we talked recently, behind me there too is the Beatles Yellow Submarine Eurostar set by Hornby. And it's actually 00 scale, but operates on HO track. And I know that's the set with a power pack.
It's very hot, Tony.
Yeah, I think you said it was selling quick, and now
my father was like, I don't know, the Beatles, how many people, that was such a long time ago. But Tony, you're on the money.
I told you, when I saw it, I said, oh, Ken's got to have this. I hope you're stocking this. Yeah, that's the one that's going to be reviewed. And then you said you were going to get, there's another set that'll just be the 4-unit train without power pack and base and track. So if you're a collector out there looking for it, there's 2 ways to get it, and I think Train World's going to have both of those. Back to what I do at Model Railroad News, our February edition that's out now, I think I have it here handy, is a Canadian-themed one, and it has that's the transcontinental train from Cato in N-scale, with a cover diorama put together by my assistant editor, Shane Mason, and the review is by Justin Sobek over in St. Louis. Our team of guys is like all over the country, and everybody specialized into, scales or certain areas of railroading that they're interested in. So that really brings together a nice team of folks to kind of hit all the high points on things. And one of the things in Model Railroad News is that ability to go into 6-8 page review with plenty of prototype pictures and lots of information on models. And I always make sure we also hit upon some of the history of the models, because so often something comes out and you think, wasn't that the same tooling, or isn't that related to this that came out, and is it changed since the last time it was available? So we try to really be thorough and hit all of those things. Coming from White River this first part of the year, as you know, behind me over here, how do you do that? Anyway, the Amtrak book behind me is Amtrak by the Numbers, and we've got a new run of that coming out. It's been sold out for quite some time, and I hear there's another Amtrak book, but we haven't. Both those are not officially announced yet. And the other book we have coming out soon that I'm looking forward to is Timber Titans on the Baldwin logging locomotives. That there's a hardcover book coming out on those that'll be a lot of fun. And then we also have Outdoor Garden Trains is a new annual that's being added to the mix that'll be out. And things I have coming up in this first quarter with Model Railroad News, I'm starting in on our April issue now, which will have Conrail. And then May is our Amtrak anniversary issue, and we'll have a lot of reviews of Amtrak products there, including the new Bachmann locomotive that we did a video on recently, Ken, with the guys from Bachmann. And I think, wasn't JD from TCS? I think he was on that evening with us because they did the wow sound for that new Simmons Charger in HO. So that's the cover of our May issue will be that. And then June, I've got CSX stuff lined up with some of their special paints and some Chessie things. So themes the next few months in a row. And you can find out more on both Model Railroad News and the rest of our publications, including books, by going to shop.whiteriverproductions.com, and you can check everything out. Model Railroad News has its website, modelrailroadnews.com, and naturally all the magazines have Facebook as well. One thing I wanted to say on Amherst, I've only been there one time in 2016, was absolutely blown away. It was everything you've always heard about, because how many times is there something that people say, oh, this is the greatest movie ever, or this is the best restaurant to go eat at, and then you go and you're like, nah, it's okay, but it didn't live up to the expectation. For years I'd heard about Amherst, and I finally get to go in 2016, and yeah, it's literally almost like too much show. Like as a collector, I couldn't carry all the stuff back out to my car. That it was just, it's a tremendous show. I mean, Amherst is one that if it's not on your bucket list and you're a model railroader, it ought to be. And if you want to know more on the background, John talked about some of the money they give away and such. We did, and I think I'm pretty sure it's been out for a while, so you'll have to find it. But Lionel Strang and I did a podcast with John back when he was first announcing the virtual shows. That's a modelerslife.com, and you can listen to, I think we did like a 2-hour show where John goes into detail on how the Amherst show gets put together and the charity work, and there's a lot to it. And again, a lot that you may not think about. Oh, it's a great train show, but as he said, the giveaway on the money and other things is a really interesting part of the whole deal.
Thanks, Tony.
That's about what I'm working on. Other than I'm waiting for more stuff, I think, from you, Ken. I forget what else I've got. I got that little Joe Electrics on order. I've got some more Lionel HO coming. But yeah, I got more stuff. I'm waiting for them to email me from Train World and say, are you ready to get this?
The problem is you work for this great magazine company, and all those photos of all these trains, you just want to drool and salivate over. So it's probably overwhelming when you see hot next to every single engine that everybody announces.
That's a nice thing about the magazines now, especially with the pandemic stuff, is it is a hobby shop in your mailbox, or you can go online to the website and such and look at that. That again, if you're not getting to go out to shows, you're not getting to go to your hobby shop, this is a way to get to look at all the new products.
Very cool. All right, perfect. Thank you so much, Tony. And Tony, he does a great job with the magazine, Model Railroad News. And I whenever I get that magazine, every morning, I have my cup of coffee, the magazine, and start reading it. And he does a great job, and he's always in tune with the hobby because he's a hobbyist himself. So great stuff, Tony.
Thanks a lot, Ken. I appreciate being here. Looking forward to, I know some of the surprises coming this week, but I don't want to spill them and spoil. But you've got some fun stuff coming this week.
All right. Sounds good. All right. And next up, we'll continue the magazine trend. And we got Carl Swanson. How you doing, Carl?
I'm doing good. I appreciate the invitation to be here tonight. It's been snowing pretty much all day here in Milwaukee. So it's a good time just to sit back and talk about trains.
That's right. Now you got spun off. Hal gave you the good old 1-2 the day before the show. Let's throw Carl into the lion's den.
That's the way it works sometimes. I think Hal was I think he was here last time, though, wasn't he? Last time we did a show?
Yep.
Yeah, so my turn.
Okay. All right. Very good.
Not going to let Hal have all the fun here.
That's it. And now, have you been to Amherst, Carl?
I have been. I was sitting here trying to remember the first time I went to the show, and I think it's probably about 15 or 16 years ago that I first went to Amherst, and it was amazing. It was an incredible experience. It's frustrating to all of us not to be able to go to our train shows and and to meet the folks face to face and talk to our friends and meet new people. But as was mentioned before, it's more important to stay safe so we can gather again in the future when things have calmed down a bit.
Right. Without a doubt. Now, I guess what products do you got a new magazine coming out anytime soon, or you always got it monthly? No.
Oh yeah. In addition to the monthly issue of Model Railroader, we've been very busy turning out annual issues, special issues, and even a DVD.
Cool.
In fact, it's been pretty remarkably busy.
That's great.
Yeah, it's nice to be busy. Maybe just to run down some of our more recent products. As many of you know, here at Model Railroader Magazine, well, actually, this is my daughter's bedroom, but when I'm in Waukesha at Model Railroader Magazine, we have our own HO scale employee club layout called Milwaukee Racine and Troy.
I have been.
Excuse me?
Nah, sorry about that.
Oh. The Milwaukee Racine and Troy has been a project and that Model Railroader's staff has enjoyed working on for 45 years. And to mark the anniversary of this groundbreaking model railroad, we decided to print a special issue called 45 Years on the Milwaukee Racine and Troy. It's a comprehensive history, plus track plans, and even quite a few of the how-to articles that the railroad has generated over the years are reprinted in this special issue. It's a lot of fun putting it together. A lot of good memories in there and a lot of good advice for people who are just wanting to make their own models as good as they can make them. Recently, we've released a companion DVD, which includes never-before-seen video footage of the Milwaukee Racine and Troy, both the original railroad, which was located in downtown Milwaukee at Kalmbach's original headquarters building, and the current version of the railroad, which is housed in Waukesha, Wisconsin, a Milwaukee suburb. So the hour and 23-minute DVD includes interviews with the builders, some of the hidden stories of this railroad, and just a whole bunch more. The DVD and the special issue on the Milwaukee Racine and Troy are available now in hobby shops. That was a special issue, a one-time thing. But every year we also produce Model Railroad Planning. In the 2021 edition of Model Railroad Planning is on newsstands now. This year's edition features 12 all-new stories. They featured our N, HO, S, ON30, and O scale layouts, so we pretty much covered the map there. Subjects range from track planning to operations and from scenery to structures. And of course, Kalmbach also has a full range of books. Reaching the market right about now is Build Your First Layout, which is brand new edition in Model Railroader Magazine's Essential series of books. Build Your First Layout has step-by-step instructions, all the basic techniques you need to build your own operating railroad. And then for the more advanced modeler, we have Tony Custer's book, Applying Lessons from the Prototype. This is also all new content and perfect for modelers looking to design a layout or build their next layout or just take an existing layout to the next level. This is kind of a fun project from Dave Ableys. He has produced a book for us called Signals and Interlockings. It's the first time model railroaders tackled this subject. And he does a terrific job of explaining how prototype signals operate and how you can incorporate signals on your own model railroad. So pretty remarkable, a fun book, and I really urge folks to head out to their hobby retailer and check out these books on the shelf. And I should mention that our sister railroad magazine, Trains, they've produced a book, Union Pacific's Big Boys. It's a full book-length guide to the 4884 steam locomotives that Union Pacific fielded, both a comprehensive history and the complete story of the restoration and return to operation of 4014. So this book has been incredibly popular. It's pretty much sold out. But the good news is we've gone back to press, and copies are now available once again. So be sure and check that out. I would say that this book is available as softcover and hardcover. And if you've been thinking about the hardcover version, my secret advice to you would be you might want to get it sooner rather than later, because that one is going really fast. But there's always some good stuff coming from Model Railroader, and we'll keep it happening for you. So sure and check out your hobby retailer and ask to see these products.
Thanks, Carl. That's great. And I just want to apologize to all the Facebook people out there. I know there's a ton of spammers, and we're doing our best to ban and block them, but they keep on coming in. When you do large shows like this, I guess these bots sometimes try to post up comments, so we're deleting them and banning them as quick as we can. We apologize about that. You can watch us on youtube.com/trainworldtv. So the robots haven't posted on that yet, so we appreciate your patience on that. But back to trains, and we'll kick off the DCC segment portion. And we'll kick it off with George the Handsome. I mean, George the Great. George from SoundTraxx. George, how you doing, George?
Hey, I'm doing well. I hope everybody's having fun, enjoying this through the feed, and yeah, stay safe so we can all get through this fast. So I didn't want to put just something simple as my name because it's kind of boring. So I decided to go with something throw a little joke out there. So hope everybody's enjoying. But just to kind of go with what SoundTraxx, we've been really busy over this time. I know a lot of people have been forced home, and so they're at home working on their trains. And so on that side of it, they're pushing projects forward and getting stuff done. So, I mean, we're going through a lot of decoders, and we manufacture here in the United States in our facility, dedicated facility in Durango, Colorado, and we ship worldwide to your favorite retailer, especially Train World. And so we're very proud of the fact that we were able to do that through this whole time and help out. Also during all this time, of course, we've been working on engineering projects, and that's been continuing going. And we've had quite a few projects that we've released over the last few months. So to get everybody kind of caught up, first off, we started with our TSU Big Steam. And I know Carl kind of mentioned the 4014 Big Boy. Well, this is our exclusive decoder that has the recordings from the actual 4014 Big Boy that we were able to get on one of its last trips before everybody had to shut down the world. And so we've been able to release this in our TSU Big Steam, and that's available through your favorite retailer. And it's available in the TSU 2200, the TSU 1100, and the TSU 21P NEM8. And these are available. Now, these have the unique recordings. There's two different whistle recording sets that you can select from. You get the exhaust stuff off of the Big Boy, the air compressor, the dynamo, the feed water heater system, and more. So there's a lot of those sounds that were unique to the Big Boy that we were able to get and put into this. And so we did kind of a one-off where we preloaded it into this big Steam decoder and we released it. There is a video on our YouTube channel, and I'll get to that in a moment, but we did do a complete installation and an overview of some of the sounds you're going to hear in that, so you can go to our YouTube channel and see the decoder. So this gives you the opportunity to upgrade many Big Boys that you may have gotten over the years. So also after that, we've been able to release the TSU KN1, and I'm just going to grab this decoder, this locomotive here. This is a Kato F3, and we have our TSU KN1 decoder, and this is a complete installation kit. So you can kind of see the decoder inside this model. This is a decoder designed for N-scale wide-body locomotives. So any of the F-series locomotives, the PAs, the E8s, the 40PH and the I'm sure the P42s, and all of the sounds are preloaded in there. So you just make a couple of CV adjustments and you get to have the sound. And as part of that kit, you're going to get the decoder, you're going to get the speaker baffle, the wires for the speaker, the LEDs, and then you're going to get some of the Kapton tape to do the installation with. And there's a complete installation document that comes with it, as well as we do have a YouTube video as well, where we show you step by step on how to do the installation. Now, one thing I do want to kind of allude to, this is the speaker here. This is going to be released by SoundTraxx. We're just waiting for our bulk shipment to get in before we make a formal announcement. So we're really excited about that speaker. Will really help innovate and allow more N-scale installations. And this is going to be our first foray into the N-scale market. I know we've had a lot of customers over the years asking for the great Tsunami 2 and N-scale. They really want it. And we have the TSU 1100, which is a universal board style, so it means you hardwire it in. But we have had a lot of people asking for the Tsunami 2 and N-scale. So this is our first step into it. We're going to have a lot more coming up very soon in the near future. So be sure you subscribe to our newsletter, and Ken, at your newsletter as well at Train World, so to make sure that you get apprised of any new announcements. Now, beyond that, we've been posting lots of video on our YouTube channel. I know you guys have heard me talk about this before, but our YouTube channel, we post videos every week, short little 3 to 5 minute videos highlighting a feature of the decoders, how to do something. They're not always SoundTraxx related. Sometimes we do like a tech tip or a modeling segment where we'll talk about, there was one we did a few weeks ago where we talked about how to insulate the motor and what it takes in some models with different designs on how to find a way to insulate that model. So there's great information on that. Also on our YouTube channel, we have a webinar series. And the webinar series is designed not just to introduce you and get you more familiar with the features and the reasons of why all the SoundTraxx products is really top of the line, but also there's other informational segments in there, such as what is DCC and how does it work. There's a lot of people that are kind of nervous about digital, to be quite honest with you. And, you know, so these webinar series, that particular one is webinar number 4, I believe. It's designed to help take away a little bit of that mystery and that fear of it, so that you understand exactly what's happening. We show the little green man behind the curtain and what he's doing. There's other videos out there that are, you know, webinar 8, for example, is just teach you how to solder, teach you the fundamentals from a professional standpoint of what we use in our factory in Durango with our technicians downstairs every day, so that you can apply those same principles to your models. Webinar 7 is just a decoder overview, a decoder installation overview. And webinar 9, we actually take the 3 major DCC systems and we teach you how to use their systems, because if you're afraid of how to, you know, what all the buttons do on your particular throttle or whatever you have in your hand, then you're never really going to get the best out of your decoder. So we teach you that with the MRC, the Digitrax, and the NCE systems. Those tend to be the biggest ones, but yeah, lots of information. We're happy to help answer any questions. We're here Monday through Friday, 9 to 5:30 for any technical or support questions, whether you have questions for decoder setup, sound selection, selecting the right decoder, anything you need, and then you can purchase your decoders directly at trainworld.com or your favorite retailer.
That's great, George. And just to clear up some questions, because I know we named you George the Handsome, but George is from SoundTraxx, and
yes,
a great DCC company. And George does phenomenal videos, and they're really important that you do them, George. And I actually asked you, I said, hey, can we use those videos too for our channel, because they're so great. And it's really important, because a lot of times people are afraid of DCC. And, you know, they hear DCC, they're intimidated, they're not sure to, if they want to make the purchase to get into it, or how they're going to convert all their trains into it. So you do a great job of giving a 101 tutorial. And, you know, it's one thing if I did a tutorial, I would just butcher it, but you know it inside and out. So you do some really great work, and I'm excited about all this N-scale movement.
yeah, it's been really big push, and we're really excited to get there. And like I said, we've got several different board designs already in progress. We just weren't quite ready to announce them this week, unfortunately. But they're coming, and so stay tuned, and hopefully we'll get them out here soon.
All right. And James, you're gonna have to do some more N scale now.
Well, you just bankrupted me on a bunch of MTH1 gauge, so I don't know if I have much money for but yeah, when I started in the hobby, in scale, it was not heard of to have sound equipped in scale. You know, people were tinkering and trying to come up with a way to get it. It may have been in one manufacturer at that time, so it's good to see in scale develop and be mainstream with DCC and sound, so they can enjoy it just as much as us HO modelers have for a long time.
Well, you know what they say about N scale now. Half the size, the same cost.
Yeah.
But no, it's great. Actually, it is a good time to be an N scale, model railroader, because there's a lot of new products, and just adding the dimension of sound is something totally new for N scale, which is great that you could fit an N scale decoder, sound decoder inside these little engines. I mean, it's crazy. So that may be your next scale, James. You never know.
Yeah, and SoundTraxx, they get to tinker with everything right there in their, I call it their mad laboratory, because I did a video over there a few years ago, and all their offices are on one floor, and then all the production is down in like a lab setting where you got to put on a white coat and all that stuff and make sure you're not statically charged. But they get to have fun with that, so it's pretty neat to see, and look forward to seeing what comes out in N-Scale. And I'm always up for reviewing whatever gets everybody's attention. That's what I'm, if it's something that's hot and interesting, I'm all about reviewing it just to get people the information out there so they know how to decide whether they're going to purchase it or not.
Very cool. And next up, we have Matt from ESU Lock Sound. And Matt, everybody now from N scale wants Z scale. So do you have that big announcement?
Well, we'll get there.
Yeah, I'm just teasing. But how you doing, Matt?
I'm doing well. It's been kind of a different year this year. You know, I put so many miles on in the last, I've been with ESU now since 2010. I was with Bowser 6 or 7 years before that. So we talk about going to all these train shows, and the miles that we all put on in this industry become astronomical. And this year's been a little different. It's been a little quiet. We got to stay home, get to spend a lot of time with family. So there are aspects of all of this that aren't so bad. We certainly miss going out and seeing the customers by all means. And again, going to, to Springfield, to West Springfield, to the Amherst show, to Train Fest, to many of the others out there, and seeing our friends and our customers there. But there is something to be said about being able to just go up to the office and come home, or just work from home at times. So, you can only sleep on the road so much before it becomes a little bit old. So, so that's definitely something that's a little different this year. But as George was saying, there's a lot of people that are able to stay home and work on their layouts this year. So we've definitely seen a reflection of that in our sales. We've had a large increase from our sales from last year already. Our OEM sales, even the manufacturer locomotives, those sales are up quite a bit from the previous year. So even with some of the changes overseas, all the political stuff that's going on, people, and maybe that's even part of it. People are looking for an escape, and I think that's a lot of what model railroading is. It's a great hobby to have, because we can imagine we're somewhere else. It doesn't matter who's president, it doesn't matter who's on the news, doesn't matter what illnesses are out there in the world. We have our own little area, we have our own little world, and we can stay in it, and then that becomes a great thing. So we've enjoyed that. We've because we have been home a little bit more, I've certainly been working on my own layout quite a bit more. I'm actually here now. We had a big ice storm today, so I'm not in the office. I'm working from home tonight. And, I'm in I was joking when I came on that I'm in the Mac cave, not the Bat cave. But, so we've got a big layout going here, multi-level. I get to work with my sons down here, and we just it's a good family time. It's a great family hobby, and he's learning some things about the world, and we have some good conversations about girls and who knows what else. So it's a good time. It's a time that we really get to enjoy. And I'd say out of all the things, because of COVID, one of the things is, as much as there is bad, having that family time and being close together has been good. I have to admit, I've enjoyed that immensely. So,
and that's good that you said that, Matt, because trains brings families together, and father, son, that's like the traditional aspect and the story we hear as a retail store. When people come in, they say, my father had old trains when he was young, or my grandfather had trains and I want to get into it. So it's really that family tradition, and I think you hit the nail on the head where for this COVID time where you're home with your family, you need a hobby to do together. And right. I think trains is that, that pastime that, is now cool and current. And, now you got sound DCC equipped and all these features. So it's a great time to be a model railroader and have your family be a part of it.
Well, and absolutely. And, I've been modeling since I could walk. My father was a model railroader. He worked for the Real Railroad. He was the chief mechanical officer for a local railroad. So I was climbing on trains and riding on trains. Actually, my first picture riding on a train was on the CN 6060 going from Toronto to Niagara Falls. And the reason I know it was my first ride, because it was a picture of my mother riding the train, and she was pregnant with me still. So even before I was born, I was a model railroader and a fan. So it's definitely in our blood, and it does get passed down through family. My brother's into it. In fact, my brother is our tech support agent at ESU LLC. So we work together every day. The layout that I'm in right now, we're building this together. He models one level of it, and I've got two above it. He's handicapped, so he's usually works on the layout in a rolling chair, and so it works well for him. And we have a good time. And we can bring not only the DCC and sound in locomotives, but we also make command stations. We make switch machines, stationary switch machines. Anything DCC related, basically ESU LLC and ESU and in our corporate side make. So we get to tie that all together. I mean, we're almost never away from it. Either we're at home playing with ESU stuff, or we're at work playing with ESU stuff. So we get to play all day. It's a great job.
That's great.
Speaking of that, we have a couple very new products, new announcements to make. This is always the time of the year that we make announcements between this and especially Train Fest in the fall. We kind of go back and forth what's coming out that certain time of year. And, the Amherst show is the show that we do make a lot of those announcements at. And if we'd have been there this year, we'd have had a lot of announcements to make. As dealers, any dealers that are out there, you'll be getting some packets in the mail from this, and some emails and some information here shortly about a lot of the new products I'll talk about tonight. One of the first things I'm going to mention, there's a couple that I don't have slides for. I'm going to get to a couple slides in a moment, but the first things that we have are some FX decoders, some low pilot FX decoders. So basically lighting decoders. A lot of them are plug and play. They can work for lighting in cabooses or cars or locomotives. Say you have a dummy locomotive and you just want lights or something like that. Those FX decoders can even be combined with other decoders, sound decoders. So say you have something that just has an exorbitant amount of lights. Even though a lot of our decoders do have a ton of light outputs, we can add these to it. So, we have a whole series of FX low pilot decoders coming. One of the things that, as we're going to transition from the Loc Sound 4s to the Loc Sound 5s, that goes across our whole product line when it comes to decoders and locomotives. So we didn't do this all at once. We kind of stuck to the sound decoders first, and then we went to the non-sound decoders, and now we're working into the FX decoders and others. But one of the things we continue to get questions for, even though we have a great Loc Pilot 5 that's fully featured, It's basically a Loc Sound 5 with without the sound. But we have a new basic decoder coming as a Loc Pilot Basic. It's a little bit lower cost, entry level decoder, but it'll work with all the 21-pin plug equipped engines out there. It'll work with 8-pin plugs. It's a wired edition so that you can hardwire it into maybe something that you're maybe not quite ready for sound and you want to keep the budget low. This is a great decoder for that. So that's going to be coming out. I believe that's maybe the very beginning of the second quarter. So maybe March, we'll start seeing some of that, end of March, early April. So that's coming for sure. Let me get into some of the slides. We've talked a lot about N scale today already. So let me see if I can figure out how to screen share now. All right, Ken, can you see my screen okay?
Yep, we got you.
Okay. So for a long time, we talked about seeing N-scale sound, and we've been doing N-scale with a lot of manufacturers for, well, quite a few years now. It's been 6 or 7 years. We started doing sound in the Atlas N-scale S2 switcher, one of the smallest things that you could put sound in an N-scale, and we figured out a way to do it with the help of Atlas and our friends, our engineers. So we've gone from there and provided sound for a lot of the Atlas locomotives at that time, a lot of the Intermountain N scale. We've been working with scale trains and their N scale and others, a couple Australian companies. So N scale sound really isn't anything new for ESU. In fact, I would say we've kind of done our best to pioneer and push the envelope into N scale sound to, to look. There's really no reason why N-scalers can't have a lot of the same sounds and features and lighting that the HO scalers and larger can have. So we've worked hard to try to get that done. We worked with the manufacturers to make a slide-in board or drop-in board for Atlas and Intermountain and others, and that was a common design. Well, that was a select decoder, and those are no more. That was a kind of in our version 4 line of decoders, and now that we've moved up to the version 5s, we've run out of those decoders, so we had to create something new. And I know a lot of people have been asking, when's that going to happen? When's that going to happen? Well, it's happening. It's done. Here's the production decoder picture right in front of you. This is being put into production. I'm sorry, this into locomotive production. The production of it is finished, and it's in the hands of the manufacturers right now. And our batch of retail versions is on the way. It's same decoder. There's no difference between the two. So as it shows here, this is a full featured decoder, same as you'd have in HO. Many outputs. We have 8 total function outputs, so lots of lighting. One of the downsides of the first board was we couldn't have alternating flashing ditch lights. As you can see, I hope you can see my mouse here a little bit. We now have 3 lower LEDs so that we can have a headlight and left and right flashing ditch lights in the front and in the rear. And we can have separate marker lights or beacons or number board lights coming off the top. Now, those lights are designed for engines that were designed for sound and DCC. So those light tubes are already there. These LEDs could be removed if you wanted to use this board and other things. I've seen a lot of people do that over the years, but we have something else here I'm going to get to in a moment, so it may not be needed quite as much. As it says there, as this fits in the Atlas and Intermountain, Fox Valley, they had a common design, and we helped them with that design. We have just simply pads that fit into spring mounts for the motor and for the pickup, for the speaker that's usually mounted down below in the fuel tank. All of that's already kind of built into this decoder. This is very much the same decoder that we had before, and this will retrofit. So if you're ready to upgrade those decoders, we can do that with this decoder. It'll fit right in. So the next decoder is a new Kato decoder, a new N-scale narrow hood decoder. This will fit in the vast majority of narrow hood diesels that Kato has to offer. Duford Shops does a lot of installs for Kato locally here in the United States, and we supply these decoders for them. So all of your SD70 Aces, your Gevos, your SD40-2s, and many others use a common size board, and we've been able to make this board universal to fit in all of those. So we have for just standard headlights using what they have, there's going to be pads for mini LEDs to fit in front and rear to match up with the light tubes that are already there. They changed the design over the years to go to an SMT LED that sits a little further back. Those are already built into this board as well. So generally, just drop-in headlights are already built in. And then if you want to add even more lights, so if you want flashing ditch lights or beacons or number boards, and I know that all of us HOers and larger are thinking, why or who in the world would be putting these LEDs in these N-scale engines? And believe me, a lot of people do it. So we've given a lot of ability to be able to continue to have as many of those lights as possible. So, and there's power pack control. So you can put that right onto the board, and I don't know where you're going to put it in the engine because there's not a whole lot of room left inside. But if you can find some space, we have some products that are going to be able to help you out there. To, you know, if you're going over dead or dirty track, it'll kind of get you through. So that's the second N-scale decoder. So, I actually didn't want to show this one yet, but we'll skip right to it because it will show me something else. We have a new nano decoder. This is not the Next 18 or the wired version of what we have now in the micro decoder. This is even smaller yet. This has a new connector on it for hooking up to a brand new, what we're going to call the V5 Direct with integrated power pack. So instead of having to add a power pack to the board, it will now come with it already. This board with the power packs is the same size, same length as our old V5 Direct board, which we're not going to get rid of. We're going to keep that as well. That was already an 8 output decoder. This is now a 10 output decoder. So we have lots of lights and the power pack involved as well. So and all of the lighting features and everything that go along with that. The nano decoder is more narrow. So as a wired decoder, and it's also lower profile, so it'll fit into the N-scale locomotives that the old micro decoders wouldn't fit in. They were either too wide or a little bit too tall, a little bit too long. This fits the bill on all of those things. It's smaller, much more powerful in terms of what it can do, and it has that nice small profile, so it can fit into a lot. So our next new announcement is something that I've been pushing for quite literally since 2010, and we actually got scooped by it. So I was able to finally convince them to make a full Loc-Sound 5 no motor control Loc-Sound FX decoder. So this is a sound decoder that does not have motor control, but that's about all it doesn't have. It still has the ability to have all of its sounds programmed onto it. So we can use this in passenger cars. We can use this in freight cars. We can use this in cabooses for sound. It'll have lots of lighting effects on it, but we can program any sound that we want onto it. We'll have a full library of sounds that can be loaded into it directly, so you don't have to provide any sounds to do that. But if you want to, you can. You can go out and record anything you want. Say you want to do a specific caboose and you have it's at your local museum and they have a generator on it. You can go out and record that and put it into this. Say you have a cab car and you're a commuter and you hear this cab car every morning. You can record the horn at your commuter station and edit that and put that into the file if you want to. Again, we'll already have a lot of the stuff pre-made, so you don't have to do it on your own, but it just gives you that one extra step. This will also work well for a stationary decoder. So you could add this to any part of the layout that you want. One of the things that I'll be doing, I have a couple long steel bridges on the layout. So I already have some recordings of trains going over steel bridges. We can adjust the rail clack, frog thumps, all of that in terms of speed. So we put a detected section over that bridge. When the train first hits that, it triggers this sound decoder of a train going across the steel bridge. As it gets to the other side and the caboose goes by, it'll get off of that detected section and it'll stop. But this just brings life to the rest of the railroad. So we have sound in locomotives. We've had sound in cars for quite a while. This will give us ability to have a lot more sounds in those cars and any sound that we want. But now we get to have sounds of maybe a roaring creek, maybe some birds, maybe welder and hammers and farm scenes, anything that you want. So we'll have lots and lots and lots of ability here. Also, lots of lighting effects in this. So if we want to, again, run cab cars with flashing ditch lights and beacons and interior lights and all of that, we can do that. This will be emuable. So if we want to consist this with other things, all of that ability is going to be built in. We are working with some manufacturers on this already. So it does come as a 21-pin plug. We worked with Kato on some cab cars well, we have worked with Kato too, but we've worked with Atlas on some cab cars, some New Jersey Transit sets. They have a 21-pin socket already inside those cars. This will be able to plug directly into it already. We are also looking at some micro versions. So these are kind of the main new products that we have to show. There's other things as well that are coming. We're not quite there. We do have some more layout control things. We have a new Switch Pilot 3 that's coming out. Our signal pilots that we've been waiting for, which what seems like years, are finally on the way. There were things that were just more important. We pushed the design back on that a little bit. Now we've been able to get to it. Actually, that's one thing that COVID has helped with, is with our engineering time. One of the questions that I get a lot, we've been out of Loc programmers. That's the Loc programmer is the key to the Loc sound experience. Certainly you don't need it. You can program CVs on our products just like you can any of the others that are on the market. But with the Loc programmer, it's all drop-down menus. You can see what you're doing. If you want to add your own sounds, the Loc programmer does help. Say you've bought a Bowser engine or an Intermountain engine or scale trains or any of them that have our sounds in them. Say you want to upgrade to it and you've got the horns in it, but maybe we've come out with something new. In fact, right now we have a new template pack that's coming that has a download of many new horns that have never been released, new steam whistles, new appliances for steam, new blower sounds, new pumps, everything, diesel, steam, electric. We're going to have all those sounds broken up, so you can actually build your own locomotives with these separate sounds if you wanted to. And the Loc programmer is the key to being able to do that. We've been out of stock on them because of a component issue. That's one problem with COVID. When one small guy goes out, or slows down, it does trickle upwards. We have gotten those components. Everything is back and in stock again. So we had, I believe it was like 600 back orders in the last 2 months of Loc programmers. They are just about all completely shipped back out again. So anybody that's been waiting on those Loc programmers, you should be seeing those. Our cab control system, again, we have a shipment showing up in the next week of basically all of our back orders for cab controls will be filled. So anybody waiting on those, they'll be available. Anybody using the new handheld throttles, the mobile control 2s, again, which can be used on any DCC system out there with an Android face, that's going to be available in stock. And one other thing to mention about that is we had Engine Driver needed to do an update to be able to use our newest mobile control 2s. They have done that. I just noticed yesterday they released that software. So if you have a new mobile control 2, wanted to use Engine Driver to be able to use it with other DCC systems, that is available. So check out JMRI and Engine Driver on that. We've been working with them closely to get that caught up. So busy time at ESU, guys. So I appreciate all you continue to do to support us, and we're going to continue to work hard to support you as well.
That's tremendous, Matt. I don't think there was enough new product, to be honest. and I think everybody out there, all our friends, customers, patrons out there are on product overload. So that's great to hear. But hopefully you could tell the dealers about it so we could start taking some pre-orders right away, because I'm sure we're going to get bombarded with questions now. But that's great stuff, Matt.
Yeah, we're working on those packets right now, so you should see those in a few days.
All right. So everybody out there that says, I want to just see new product, I just want to see new product, well, there you go. And last but not least, we're going to go with JD from TCS, and we'll kick it off with the last DCC segment for tonight, but we got more to come. How you doing, JD?
Good, Ken. Thanks for having us on the show.
Thanks for joining.
Yeah. 2020 has been interesting with COVID, but my wife and I joke about it when you go into quarantine, but my life hasn't really changed. I've been able to work from home for the past 6 years, and so we get out and go to church, but that's about it, and that's our normal life. But so things have been interesting at TCS, but good. We've had a lot of OEM business, uptick in all of our aftermarket sales. Everybody's up in their layout room working on their decoders, so we've had a lot of aftermarket increase in sales as well. All this talk about N scale. I wasn't going to talk about this yet, but for those that are familiar with TCS decoders, I'll show you this decoder, and you'll notice is that there's not an SD card on it, and all of our sound decoders have SD cards, but here we have a non-SD card version. This is actually for an OEM project coming up with Rapido. But what this means, let's talk about N scale. What this means is, for many of those dimensions of SD cards, an SD card is the same exact width as a narrow body diesel in N scale. So you can't fit an SD card in N scale. But now that we have the technology to have sound without an SD card, we now have the technology to have sound in N scale. So obviously this is an HO decoder, but keep an eye out on TCS coming up this year. The technology's here. So N scale sound is coming from TCS. We are excited about that. Other major things, I kind of laugh about this, but at the beginning of the pandemic, we just released our UWT-100 throttle. It is a Wi-Fi throttle. Been really excited about that. But despite the pandemic, we're actually already on our second run of throttles. And we have we're making the UWT-50 throttle, which is a utility throttle. We like to say it's the little brother to the UWT-100. It's got all the same features as this one. It's just a bit smaller, a little bit smaller screen. And we joke at TCS about this. We started about 20 years ago. My father is the owner of the company, and he started out making a command station. This is around when DCC was first getting started. And he thought, you know what, it might be a little bit easier if we make a decoder first. So I'm going to make a decoder product first before command station. And over 20 years later, we still don't have a command station. But we do have our throttle now, and this is a precursor to our command station, which is also coming out hopefully this year. And we actually went ahead and made a video that I'd like to share with you guys. It's a lot more interesting than looking at me talk. So I'll share that. That talks all about our throttle, and you'll get to see my buddy Dan, and he'll go into detail the features of these throttles. They're really neat. I think this is the future of throttles, and we'll take it with the video. So Ken, did you get that downloaded? Can you screen share that, or I can go ahead and screen share it as well?
Yeah, I'll screen share it.
Yeah, thank you, Ken.
How's it going, everybody? This is Dan Mischio from Train Control Systems coming at you live, except it's not live. It's actually recorded, but you don't know that, at least not right now. And I'm joined by two of my favorite people in the world. On my left, I got Ken Patterson, host of the What's Neat show for Model Railroad Hobbyists and the What's Neat This Week video podcast. On my right, I've got the lovely Ashley Kershone, who's joining me here today, and we're going to be talking to you all about the TCS Universal Wi-Fi Throttle. And not just the UWT-100, we're also talking about the new and exciting UWT-50, very long anticipated product from TCS. We're happy to have finally the pre-production sample available here. And I just wanted to talk to you guys, what are your experiences, what's your impression, and why do you enjoy using your Wi-Fi throttle? Because Ken, I know you love the UWT-100 that we sent you. That's this guy right here. I know you use it every day. You tell me you run through batteries like crazy. Tell me, what are some of your favorite things about the UWT-100?
I love this throttle because of the great big LED display on it. And you're right, I do use this every day that I run trains around here. And you're right, I've been going through batteries a lot, but that's only because when I run trains, I like to just let them run really slow around my layout at about 15 or 20 miles an hour while I'm working in the shop. Because my layout is designed for the run by effect. And the nice thing about this throttle is you showed me how I could set it up where the throttle will never turn off. You have the option of turning off in 20 minutes if you want to conserve on batteries, if you're just operating your layout and you're on attention all the time, operation-wise, switching and things like that. But I like to let it run for hours and hours. And this throttle's great for that. It's got a great big LED display on it that shows when the battery's about to run out. And I love the functionality of how you plan the buttons on this. The buttons on this throttle are laid out in such a way, if you look at it, it's like the buttons on a telephone. Mathematically, they actually make sense the way they're laid out. So it's something that I'm already used to using when I'm programming locomotives or otherwise programming CVs.
That's exactly right. Yeah. So one of the things that we did, which you may find on some throttles, but not all of them, is that the number of buttons, you still have the same classical 10 buttons, 0 through 9, like you find on any railroad throttle, but some of them are organized in rows of 4. And so in that respect, it's very much not like what you might be familiar with on a telephone, where you have 3 rows of 3. So that's one of the things we took into consideration when we were designing this thing. It's a lot about ergonomics, making not only just an ergonomic throttle that's comfortable in your hand, but making it an ergonomic user experience as well.
And I'm an experienced modeler, so I'm running all the time, and I've used so many different throttle systems that have been on the market for the last 30 years, starting with the Tech 2s and the Hoggers and all those things that we had back in the 70s and the 80s. So I know what to expect when I grab a throttle and I want to run a train. But the most amazing thing that I've seen here in the last 48 hours of you being and working with us is to watch Ashley running a train, who's not normally used to using a handheld throttle when you're running trains. And I saw that the experience was really good for you.
Yeah, it was great. Kind of representing the other side where I am really new at this and I've never used these before. So I think they both have their strengths. I really like that this one has a big screen and you can see everything really well. I like this one because it's smaller and I have tiny hands, and so that it feels really nice in my hands. I also really like the knob that they have here when you have it in yard mode, which Dan taught me all about today. And I really like that when you spin it, so if you have it in yard mode, you can feel it stop here. And so if you want it to go forward, and if you want it to go backward, you can feel it stopping there, and that's really useful. And you can also switch it, so whichever way you want it to go forward, doesn't matter, you can change it that way and set it up that way. It's really user-friendly and really easy to learn how to use. I mean, he taught me in, 10 minutes, and then I was able to do it without asking him, wait, which button is which? It's really simple and easy to use.
Yeah, that's right. One of our top recommendations or requests from our customers has been, when are you guys coming out with a throttle with a knob on it? Because not everybody loves the encoders. There's been some bad experiences from people in the industry with encoders in the past, and everybody knows their Tech 2s and their MRC power packs and stuff like that, which have a very definite 0 and a very definite 100. You got none of the volts, you got all of the volts. And so this gives you the same exact sort of feel as you're going to get from your classical DC power packs in a more modern, updated, and mobile platform. Ken, I know that you're constantly working around here. You got a huge basement, and this track goes all the way around. And one of my least favorite things when I go and I'm operating with somebody's layout is I don't want to have to follow my train around. Right. I don't want to have to plug the thing in, unplug it, and make sure I have the right address called up when I unplug it. And, it's just a hassle. And so now this wireless system, which is compatible with basically every system that's available on the market today, in one way or another, it means that I don't have to be tethered, that I can have freedom to walk around. I can set the throttle down. I can do something else. We were over there working on that one layout, and there were trains running around at that time, and I didn't have to worry about it because the throttle was with us.
And that's because you use Wi-Fi. When you're using the home Wi-Fi system, I don't have to worry about my signal dropping out on the back far corner of the layout. We've got 157 feet of main line running all the way around. It's about 2.25 miles of main line. But the other test that we did was we took this throttle outside. We went all the way down to the Garden Railroad, which was a good 150 feet away from the Wi-Fi system here in the basement. And it's going through cement walls and glass. And James Regier was still able to throttle up and make the train run on the layout here. In fact, we had it in front of the window so he could see that it was running. I was inside monitoring it. So it's amazing. The Wi-Fi system has got great reach. It's better than your standard radio system in that, again, your signal doesn't drop out when you're running your train.
That's right. So in addition to the amazing Wi-Fi functionality on the throttle, we've also got a system that we call in-throttle comm system. I gotta say, I hate comm system. I hate explaining it to people because it's so complicated. And so when we were designing our throttle system and we introduced our in-throttle con system feature, we tried to take as much of that complexity out of this throttle as we possibly could. And so not only do you have the ability to make and break consists within the throttle itself, completely independent of your system, it's also portable. So I could go over to Ashley's house. I could go over to your house here. I could be at my house. We could all be running trains, and I could bring my consist with me, and I could bring my throttle with me. And so I don't have to set up a new consist on your system. I can just bring my throttle, bring my engines. It's portable, it's easy, and it's easy to set up, easy to break apart, and it stays in there. So the throttle has memory space where you can save your consists and the locomotives. Everything becomes portable right with you, and you don't have to learn a new system or a new consisting system everywhere you go.
I really appreciate the fact that you're sharing this new throttle with us. Both are great. Both are at a great deal. And Ashley, I'm telling you what, it's pretty neat.
It's good stuff, yeah.
All right. I'd like to thank you all for joining us. And let's go run some trains.
All right. Very cool, JD.
Yeah, so we're excited. We got our throttles coming. It's kind of been like a 20 years in the making. TCS is more known as a decoder company, but we called ourselves Train Control Systems because we wanted to make throttles and command stations to control trains. So this year has been kind of a huge milestone for us, kind of a dream come true. We got our throttles to market. Our command station will be out. We're aiming to get that out later this year as well. Our mini throttles are available for pre-order now. They'll be out in July. And we've also finally got the technology for N-scale decoders, so they'll be out later as well. And we talked a little bit about the Bachmann Charger. That was a project that Bachmann worked with TCS on, and that's been great. If you haven't seen that, Ken did a special on it with Bachmann a couple weeks ago. You can go check out that special. They streamed that on the YouTube, so if you can hear all about that, it's a really cool model. We did a lot of neat new things on that model. And Bachmann's already ordered a second run. They're sold out, and they ordered a second run. In fact, they even came back after placing the order for the second run and said, "Hey, we need to order, even more," and added decoders on top of that. So that's a great model. You got to check that out. A couple of Steam projects coming up with Bachmann as well, and even some Sound Value projects we're working on them with. So it's I won't give away too much on that, but there's going to be a lot of neat new features in the Sound Value line. So. Yeah, lots of new stuff coming from TCS. We wish we could be with you guys, but hey, thanks for having us. And thank you very much, Ken.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dave G. Totally appreciate it, TCS. And James, you got a lot of decoder selecting. Tony, you too, and even Carl, John. You guys got a lot of options, and you may do some switching, rearranging, adding in.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of variety out there, and I think each company brings their own strengths to the game. Just like you see different manufacturers with different variations of a model, where some models may have certain pros and cons, and other models, pick those up and have other pros and cons. So it's good to have variety. Variety is the spice of life, as they say.
Yeah, lots of big stuff for N-scale. As these guys were talking, my assistant editor is a big sound guy and big N-scale guy, and my Facebook feed was blowing up with, "Hey, we got to cover this. Hey, email them. We got to get this information." It's like, "Here we go. We're going." So awesome stuff.
Tony, you got to say you're off the clock after 6.
Not when it's trains. It's always train stuff. So no, yeah, it's trains all day. Yeah.
I'll reach out to Shane for you, Tony.
Excellent.
That's great. And John, I tell you, even though we can't be there, it's still nice to see everyone. And this is what it's all about. And you said it before, John, the camaraderie between everyone, and just seeing everyone being a part of something. And it's a great community. And even though we're sometimes some of these manufacturers are competitors, everybody knows each other. We're all friendly, and it's a great thing. It's a great community to be a part of.
Agreed.
On more than one occasion, I've even gone out to supper with George.
Yeah, I remember that.
It's because he's so handsome. He's good.
Yeah,
for
there you go.
That's right.
There you go.
George, you may have to change your name next event though, because everybody was saying George the Handsome. What company is he from?
Yeah, I apparently didn't think that went through, but hey,
George,
it is what it is.
that shirt is unmistakable. I recognize that color anywhere.
That's right.
Well,
that's what they were all saying. They said the logo, SoundTraxx. Everybody knows who you are.
There you go.
But so great event, guys. Thank you guys so much for coming. And I just want to say what we have in tune for tomorrow and Thursday. So Wednesday, the 27th, we have another action-packed lineup starting at 6 p.m. Eastern time. We have LGB, Pico, Bachman, MTH, Lionel, Athern, and Angela Trotta Thomas. And Thursday, the 28th, at 6 p.m. Eastern time, we have Atlas, Walters, Broadway, Rapido, Intermountain, CMW, and Kato. So we have a ton more manufacturers, all different train companies, new products, new arrivals, announcements. Tonight was a great kickstart, and we had DCC companies, all your favorite magazines. John from Amherst to be here talking about his train show that we're all just so sad about that we can't be there this year, but we'll definitely be there next year. And John is saying the show must go on, right, John?
That's absolutely right. We'll see you guys in person next year.
Yeah, without a doubt. And James, what do you think for tonight?
Well, great show, and just to see the variety out there, like I mentioned before. And a closing thought I meant to mention earlier, Tony Cook at Model Railroad News, I was talking to somebody about him the other day, just a walking encyclopedia of information. I was like, man, that guy has more knowledge of the hobby in his pinky finger than I have in my entire body. But he puts it to good use with Model Railroad News and the HO Collector magazine, and it's just a great thing. MR, you guys are a staple in the hobby, and I look forward to picking up some of the MR&T DVDs and some of the magazines to kind of learn how to build my next layout if I can ever find a house to house it in. And then like I said, all of the manufacturers with decoders, just having all that variety and all those strengths. ESU, you guys are able to program your own decoder, or you can program a decoder with the Loc programmer and upload sounds. SoundTraxx, having that stuff already on board, and then I can go harass the people actually making the decoders right there in Colorado. TCS, great sound, and what you guys have done with Bachman. I reviewed the Siemens Charger, and it's a great sounding and operating locomotive. So just so much variety, and it's a great time to be in the hobby. Just 30 years ago or less even, we were still in the process of, you had to have an immense amount of talent, which I do not have, to be able to detail locomotives, and sound was not prevalent, nor DCC. So it's great to see, and I think we're living in a great time in the hobby.
That's true. And also big shout out to these DCC companies, Matt, George, JD. We've actually done seminars in the past and great events. So this is a great way to kind of learn about the hobby. And, it's and we have these two great magazine companies as well, where you could read the articles on how to install these decoders, DCC systems, operational. So there's a lot of information out there now, and even George was saying his YouTube videos on the information. So we're trying to bring you a small aspect and some bits and pieces of information, but and we got someone on YouTube saying hobby alive and well, and that's very well said, and it's true. There's a lot of different things going on, and John, his train show is just by far a remarkable, unbelievable train show that if you've never been to, you have to go. It is a must. It's unbelievable. It's just a great train show. The amount of halls, you can't do it in one day. John, I don't think you touched up on that. If you go down there, don't go for one day.
It's true. It's a 2-day show for sure. I had a friend from Chicago come in and they didn't know where to start. So they started at booth 1. And by the end of the first day, he's at booth like 30 and he already spent $3,000. And he said, I can't go on.
Yeah, it's true. And again, John is such a humble, great ambassador for the hobby. And, I really believe in John and his train show that they do. And I think it's a great thing. So hopefully next year we could all be there. But for the time being, I hope you guys enjoys tonight's segment. Tomorrow, Wednesday, the 27th, we have another action-packed show for you. And Thursday, the 28th as well. And thank you guys so much for joining. I'll leave it open for you guys if you guys have any last-minute comments.
Carl, I just wanted to shout out, man, I remember it was 2003 when you did that clinic at our show.
Man, that long ago. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, so your kids were like 3 and 5 or something.
Yeah.
So they must be in their 20s by now at least.
Yeah, time flies.
It sure does.
I'll just give a plug for Amherst, the Amherst show real quick. There's a friend of mine, Norm Stenzel, he had a saying that if you can't find it at Amherst, it doesn't exist. So anybody who's not been to the Amherst show, you got to go. You got to go. Everything trains there. There's literally like acres of trains. It's awesome. You got to check it out.
I say that a lot, JD. And honestly, if you can't find it there, but you got to get on your hands and knees because a lot of these guys will have boxes of stuff under their tables. And they just you just can endlessly go through all that stuff. That's the part of the show I like, the flea market aspect of it, along with everything else. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, then you're in a catch-22 flying in. You try to take just a little bit of clothing so you can have some room in your luggage for all the stuff you take out.
I will say that from my perspective, I've been going to the show now 12 years, and I'm not 100% sure I've ever seen the whole thing. Now, of course, granted, I'm working the show, but I try to take a different route to the facilities each time so I can see something new. And I usually don't get a time to see the whole show. But first day, it's over in an hour, it seems like. But you've been there for 8 or 10 hours, and there's tons of people. It's fantastic. But getting out and seeing there's so much stuff there, I highly encourage it. And, John, you do a great job. Thank you for everything.
Well, thank you guys. Every one of you guys, I really appreciate it because you all help in this, and the appreciation goes right back at you. So thanks,
John. I remember the first show I went to. I was picked on for. Well, I still am. It still gets brought up. I wasn't working for one of the manufacturers at the time. I went to the ATM 4 times that day, and the last time it was out of money. I'm grateful I'm working for a manufacturer now because I don't have time anymore.
They don't. You know what's funny? Ever since I became show director, I've never spent a dime at the show. I don't have the time. But there are 8 ATMs, each with $60,000 in them, and they fill them up each day.
Wow.
So figure it.
I'm not sure if you want to say that, John, over the
air. Yeah, it's all right. They come with guards and stuff with dogs and everything. But, I mean, you're talking $500,000 in cash every day. Yeah. So it's wild. It's wild.
And John, I will say this as a dealer perspective and manufacturer or someone having a trade booth at the show, you just make it so easy for everyone, and it truly reflects on what a great show you put together. I mean, I've been to other shows, but your show, it's just a breeze, and you make it easy for everyone, and you just want it to be fun, and it also helps that the food is so good. I've been to other shows, but for some reason, the hot dogs there is just crazy.
Yeah.
It's
the same hot dogs that they sell at the Big East fair. So, It's fun.
Good.
Yeah,
good stuff.
I try to make it easy. The show is there for you and for all of you, and indirectly us, I'm sure. But that's just the way I look at it. I need to make it easy for you guys to do your thing, and you're just as helpful right back at me. So you guys, we just all get along, which I love. It really truly is like a big giant family for me. It really is. A lot of people don't get that. That's how I've been my whole life. I get way too personal for all of it, but I think in the long run, it's what makes it wonderful.
That's great. Hopefully, James and I could get down next year, and we'll do a video, and we'll do some great segments. And I'm sure these both Model Railroad News and Model Railroader will do some great write-ups on it, and we'll get back on track. And I'm sure these DCC companies are going to be there, so we're looking forward to it. And thank you, everybody. Great night. It's great seeing all these friends and all these manufacturers, magazine companies. And John, thank you so much for joining us. James, thank you very much for coming in and give us the Model Railroader insight. And you could get all your products at trainworld.com. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. And we'll check you out and see you tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Eastern time. Thank you, guys. Have a great night.
Thank you, guys. Take care, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
All right. Good night.
Thanks, guys.